Well, good Wednesday evening to you, everybody. How are you? It's good to see you. It's good to be seen by you. I, of course, am the one and only Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver, coming to you live, loud and clear from somewhere in the swamps of sunny Central Florida. I hope you guys are doing well. Who all is out there? We have Bob Jester, Sea Dragon. I'm sorry, Robert Phillips, Advanced Fantasy Gaming. Uh, Good to see you out there. Hello to you, Wave Mutilation. Um, it's just Bill Bob and me, just like the old days. Well, at least for a few minutes, anyway. At least for a few minutes, but yeah, Ram Dog, we're just hanging out. It's a late night stream, but that doesn't mean that it can't be an informative stream tonight. Like for right now, I'm going to inform you guys that if you haven't already, you can click the subscribe button and you can click the bell for notifications and find out about all the fun stuff we do day in and day out right here on the Delver's Dungeon channel. Whether I'm streaming late at night, whether I'm streaming early in the evening, whether it is a live play, whether I have a guest, whether I've handed it over to a co-host, we are always having fun. We're doing it and just having an absolute a sagacious gas, man. So yeah, that's what we do, and you can join us. Just hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications. It's a wonderful thing, and I would really appreciate it. And we are at 93 or 92. I think it's 93.55. I gotta look. I haven't looked in a minute. Let's see. Let's hop over here and let's do our little studio thing. We'll go over here. I'm just going to take the easy route because I'm lazy. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to studio. And yes, indeed, we're at 93.57. We're at 93.57 on the old Watchotron. And what that means to you, the average viewer out there, is that we are 643 subscriptions away from this channel reaching 10,000, because when we hit 10,000, folks, when this channel reaches 10,000, you're going to see some serious shit, because we are seriously going to have our very own little convention. So I'm really looking forward to that happening. Now, that's not to say that we're not going to have a convention before then. Oh, yes, because coming up this April, we have got the Guac Mark V, our very own virtual tabletop convention. That's right. It is free. There is no cost to sign up to run a game or play in a game. For now, it's right here on Discord. I got to make a decision in a couple of weeks about whether or not I'm going to be staying on Discord. But if I move, I'm going to I'm going to let people know well in advance where the community is going and what the community is going to be doing. I'm just exceptionally disappointed in the decision that the powers that be over Discord have made as far as the whole Face ID and that sort of thing. And honestly, when they deleted a community that was set, that was created to warn people about Discord communities that might be full of predators of the Chris Hansen, please have a seat over here variety. And they nuked it and said, and literally the reason that they gave was that there are people of a protected an oppressed minority. That was the reason they give. So that was what they did. Why what people were they protecting? What people would you warn people about that would also be of an oppressed minority? So yeah, I got a lot of issues with Discord management, and this could be the last straw for me for them, unless they unless they change something major. And I saw one thing. What was it? It was called Gilded, and it was very Discord like. I just kind of let it be for the longest time, and I checked it out tonight because I thought, hey, let's check out Gilded, because Elvin Made In had invited me to a Gilded server, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's check this out. It was web based. That was a pain in the ass, but whatever. And so I just left it. I just left it be. And I went back tonight. I was like, what was it called? What was it called? What was it called? I dug through private messages and I found the person that had sent me the link, and I went there and it's gone. It's deleted. It doesn't exist anymore. In fact, it got absorbed by Roblox, which is more problematic to me than almost the entirety of what Discord themselves have gotten up to. So so yeah, that was that was kind of a disappointing thing. So I don't know what I'm going to do. If we're all demoted to minor status, what privileges do we lose? The baseline assumption that I cannot see or access things. Let me tell you, I got a whole book over here. I got an entire giant freaking volume full of absolutely gorgeous Frank Frazetta artwork. A bunch of it I can't share on Discord if I get demoted to minority status. Same goes for all of this. Yeah, and the problem if I do that, Bob, is then you have to do the face identify. Then you have to do the face identify. And then you get in the whole issue of, yeah, you got to send us a little video of you doing all this stuff. Although people have been hacking it with Gary's mod, which I think is funny. They've been using bots from the 3D models rather from Gmod and posing them like the app says, show us a picture with your mouth open, show us a picture with your left eye open, show us a picture with your right eye open. And people have created tools in Gary's mod to like get Dr. Breen's face to do all the things that they ask you to do. So, and then you just hold your phone up. Exactly. No one's getting my mug in their database. And they're like, oh no, we don't, that data is deleted as quickly as we get it. Where's it going then? Where's it sitting at? So, I mean, all we can really do is rage against the machine, guys. It does work sometimes. It does work sometimes. If you care enough about Discord, send them enough hate mail to get them to change their minds. That's all I really want to talk about with regard to that. Because generally what I like to talk about here is I like to talk about TTRPG stuff. And I want to talk about something because this came up last night. Somebody said, hey, I want to talk about segments in D&D. Bill, you got to tell me where the videos where you talk about segments are, buddy. Please, I'm going crazy. I want to talk about segments. I don't know where I have videos where I talk about where I talk about segments. That's like buried in the deep bedrock of live streams I've done about how to play AD&D. So I figure if I do it now, if I talk to you guys now about segments and how they work, then at least we'll know, at least there's a video here. So I'm going to talk to you guys about segments in AD&D. Hey, RPG Gen Exile, good to see you. So the progression of time in a D&D game from largest of concern to smallest of concern, it goes days, hours, turns, rounds, segments. 24 hours in a day, 10 turns in an hour. That's right, a turn is 10 minutes. 10 rounds in a turn. A round is 1 minute. There are 10 segments in a round. A segment is 6 seconds. And what can you do with that amount of time? And why are segments important? I think it's better to wonder about why segments are important and why keeping track of segments. Yes, Iron Man, correct. 6 turns in an hour. So a segment being 6 seconds itself is not terribly significant. However, what is significant is the segment itself. So let's plot out everything you can do in a minute. You can strike one or more blows. You can fire one or more missiles. You can cast a spell. You can move a given distance. Those are all things you can do over the course of a combat round, and things you can do over a course of segments. Generally speaking, initiative will determine when who does what. When missiles are fired, when blows are struck. If it comes to a matter of determining precisely when those things happen, which occurs during surprise, it occurs during initiative ties, when you are mixing missile or melee fire and spell casting, that is when, or spell versus counter spell, not the counter spell that they have in 5e. I'm just talking about, oh, it looks like he's getting ready to cast a spell. I'm going to cast magic missile at him, countering someone's spell with a spell of your own. That is when segments become important. That is when breaking things down, when atomizing things becomes important. And let's talk about that. The first and probably broadest, coarsest view of segments, and oh, thank God, I'm where I need to be, is in the weapon speed chart. Now, this is on page, 38 of the player's handbook. We're not going to get too fussed about armor class adjustments. We can have that discussion at another time. But I want you guys, let's zoom in here. I want you guys to note here, this column, speed factor. This is a measurement in segments of how long it takes a weapon to Be readied and strike. So we'll scroll over to the left here because you guys are probably seeing a whole bunch of numbers. A bilgisarm is a very heavy pole arm. Is 8+ feet long. You can look over at the length, 8+ feet long. Winding up and striking someone with it takes 10 segments. It takes a full round to bring it to bear to strike a target. Derek Mann. So you can see all of those. If you're curious, because let's face it. Now look at this. Look at this right here. An all pike, another type of pole arm, 13 segments. That's not a typo. 13 segments to attack with it. He's a big boy. 18 feet long. But that's hitting the dude all the way over yonder. But let's talk about swords. The good old long sword. 3 feet long, speed factor 5. Okay, so I've shown you that weapons have speeds. If you and I are in melee, you're a fighter, I'm a fighter. That's it. That's all. I'm soloing the dungeon with no help. Game Master rolls a random encounter, rolls one fighter, and decides he has no retinue. RPG Grandma, good to see you. Hello, dear. So you both roll initiative, you both roll a 4. You both have long swords. That means your blows are simultaneous. You roll a 3 and I roll a 4. I will go one segment faster than you. I may strike you down before you can strike me down. Weapon speed plus initiative. You rolled a 3. I rolled a 4. I will go before you. My attack starts on segment 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. My sword lands in segment 8. 4 plus 5 is 9. Your sword lands in segment 9 if it lands at all. Now from here, this is where things blossom outwards, because what I just explained to you guys impacts the aforementioned spell issue. So let's remove this for a second. And we're going to scroll to the section on magic spells. So that was on page 38. We're just going to grab a random spell here that is measured in segments, I should point out. What do we have? What is this one that's 4 segments long? Okay, here we go. So take a look here. Remove fear. Casting time, 4 segments. John and Bob are adventuring in the dungeon. They encounter Dirk and Seth. Seth is an evil cleric. He casts Cause Fear. He reaches out and he touches John the fighter. Bob the cleric wants to cast remove fear to get rid of that. Now, in the case of fear, this means, unfortunately, that Bob is going to turn and run. But, hear me out. We roll dice for initiative. We roll a 3 for you and a 6 for me. Now, you can strike my cleric. Your fighter can strike my cleric, reaching up to remove fear from my fighter. I rolled a 6 for initiative. You rolled a 3. My remove fear will go off in the 7th segment. You're striking with a longsword. Remember what it said up above. Longsword has a wind-up time of, or a weapon speed of 5 segments. My spell, 3 plus 4 goes off in the 7th. Your sword attack will go off at the end of the round. We will conclude your sword attack. If I'm being nitty gritty, your sword attack may not land until the beginning of the next round. That is correct, RPG Grandma. I hit Bob with remove fear before your sword can strike me. Your sword may still strike me. You may kill me, but my spell will go first. When it comes to casting time, initiative and weapon speed segments are of utmost importance, and that is how they work. Now, here is something that's even more important. Let's wind that situation back. Let's say you see me reaching up to cast remove fear on Bob. You know your sword is going to take a while to arc down on me, but you also have a crossbow cocked and readied. The round order is winners missile fire. I won. I have no missile fire. Losers missile fire. They loose their volleys. Twang, thwack. John is struck. John's remove fear is spoiled. So not only does he take the damage, and when I say winners missile fire and losers missile fire, I mean winners first missile fire, losers first missile fire. So that is the key. That is the exact phrase, RPG Grandma. Order of action taking effect. It's not the actual length of time as it is determining the order of the actions. That is what is so terribly, terribly important about segments. That's why they're important. Now, let's talk about surprise. Let's talk about surprise. Surprise is the most overwrought, overthought thing in the world. There are 3 edge cases that can screw around with surprise. Rangers, well, I should say 4, but we'll get to it. The fourth one is not that onerous. Rangers can only be surprised on a 1 in 4 chance. Halflings who are wearing nothing better than leather armor and moving advance in a party of at least, I think it's 40 feet. Can avoid surprise. I don't remember what the chance is right now, but and then elves in leather armor, a group of elves in leather armor. These are edge extreme cases. Surprise is very simple. It is so exceptionally simple, guys. Party A rolls a d6. The dungeon master rolls a d6. On a 1, a 2, or a 3, excuse me, I am stating that wrong. Let me get to where I need to be here. Oops. I didn't mean to give you guys scoliosis. Dip, 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 dip. I'm not even looking in the right book because you know what? There is a typo in the player's handbook, unless it's been corrected in the PDFs. But I'm going to show you guys this. This is like the easiest. It's overwrought. Surprise dice difference. Surprise is determined by rolling a d6 die for each party concerned, modifying the result by using the most favorable member of the party concerned, i.e. a ranger only surprised on a roll of 1 will represent the whole of a group of other character types. The effects of dexterity are as detailed below. The same holds for mixed types of monsters. If surprise is indicated for both parties concerned, the party which has lesser surprise subtracts its result from the result of the greater to find the number of segments the latter are inactive. Nonetheless, it is possible for both parties to be surprised equally, with surprise thus having no effect. So, surprise dice difference, none. If I roll a 2 and you roll a 1, you're surprised for a segment, or a 3 and a 2. If I roll a 3 and you roll a 1, it's 2 segments, a 4 and a 2, 3, and so on. And there you go. There's the table. A 3 to 6 on both of our dice. Neither side is surprised. Guys, don't worry about the edge cases. Just use this, and this shows how many segments you're surprised for. These top 3, nothing happens. Only these are where something happens. Now, if I roll a 6 and you roll a 1, you guys are boned for 5 segments, which may not be that bad. Unless spell casting or missile fire is involved, it may not be that bad, because now we go back to weapon speed. The monsters have long swords. You're surprised for 5 segments. The monsters only get in 1 blow each with their long swords, because there's only 5 segments. For purposes of surprise, segments count as rounds when it comes to missile fire, though, and that's dangerous. Let's take that 5 segments of surprise. I've surprised you. I've got a bowman. I've got a rate of fire of 2 arrows a round. I've surprised you for 5 segments. that means I get 10 arrows off at you during your moment of surprise. And if I have 10 archers, that's 100 arrows into you while you're standing there surprised. You know the scene I'm talking, you know the gif. The guy just getting just shot to death with arrows. But it's right there. It's that simple. And you just look at the difference in the dice. You just look at the difference in the dice. It's just that simple, guys. That's how segments work in first edition AD&D. But you don't need to think about them all the time. If everybody's got swords and nobody's going to be casting spells, or everybody's got melee weapons and nobody's going to be casting spells, 1d6 per side, highest die goes first. That's it. That's it. Just use that. Just literally just use that. Only really becomes an issue when you start casting spells. Now, some magic items, and I'm not going to dig through the list, I'm sorry. Some magic items have activation times that are measured in segments. So you could potentially be struck before your magic item can activate. You can absolutely be struck. Say you're guzzling a potion of healing. This will save me. I only had a couple of hit points. We're under attack. Glug, glug, glug. We won initiative. Ha ha. Wait, what do you mean I'm being stabbed to death? The problem that people freak out about segments and surprise is their brains immediately fly off. Yeah, do you ever see that like in a like a 3D game, mostly your Bethsoft games, like something will fall to the ground and the physics of the game just does some weird compute and it zings an object off. Like you'll literally see something just pew. And if it's something you really wanted, maybe you luck out and like you're walking across a map and you find it again. Oh yeah, there's the thing. But that's what people's brains do when you say surprise segments, surprise weapon speed, and that sort of thing. It is by and large similar, and everything's going to fall to the ground if you just don't think about it that much. If you get overwrought and you try to overthink it, it's going to screw you up. You're going to get confused about what you're doing, and it's not that big of a deal. Segments are just a neat way to break around into pieces and say when things occur. That's it. Just mentally picture you've got a chart of 10 hash marks. A spell's going to take this many hash marks. A missile fire is only ever going to take one hash mark. And when that hash mark goes is, it's open to interpretation, but generally speaking, I do winner missile fire, loser missile fire, first missile fires for each, and then, we move on. But, and if it helps you as a DM to literally just make yourself a 3x5 card you can clip to the back of your DM screen, where you've got just like a one row high 10 column wide grid, and you've got like missile fire, winners whatever, it just marked off in each part of the grid when certain things are going to happen. If that helps you out, I think it's a little more fluid than you can make a chart for that. But the point remains, guys, just don't overthink it. Just roll a d6. If it's a tie, go by the fastest weapon. If everybody's weapon is the same speed, everybody hits at the same time. But it's entirely possible to win an initiative tie if you've got a faster weapon. So use the KISS principle. Keep it simple, segments, and you'll have a fine time. Everything will work out. You won't have to worry about it. Yeah, but weapon length's not really a time factor, RPG Grandma. Then that becomes distance. Weapon speed is what you're about. Weapon speed. That's when segments become important. So I hope that answers your question about segments. Whoever it was asking me about that. But that should pretty much do it for your segments, guys. So moving right along, we have got some great shows lined up for you guys. We've got some absolutely fantastic shows lined up for you guys. Tomorrow night, DM Blackwall, Horde Wars, DM Blackwall. He's going to be here. We're going to be talking Horde Wars and DM Blackwall. That's going to be a lot of fun. Next week, we have the creator of the RPG Dragon Slayer, none other than Mr. Greg Gillespie is going to be here. That's very exciting. I'm looking forward to talking to Greg. And guys, since you've been very, very good this year, you all cleaned up your rooms, you ate your vegetables, you didn't sass your mom. On the 26th at 7 o'clock, not our usual 9 o'clock on the 26th, it's 7 o'clock, we are going to be joined by star of motion picture and television and stage, none other than Mrs. Laura M. Daniel is going to be right here on the show. I am so happy that she's going to be back. I have not talked to Laura seriously in a long time, and she is a ton of fun. And I'm excited about it. I'm really looking forward to it. So Laura will be on the show. Are you guys excited? I am. We had a lot of fun the last time she was on. You guys can check that interview out. She's just a very cool person. Just a very, very cool person. So I'm glad that Laura's going to be here. And yeah, Wave, she is a lot of fun. She's a lot of fun. And like she hasn't written like 300 adventure modules, and she didn't change the oil on Gary Gygax's car or dig the basement of the largest building in Lake Geneva or anything like that. But she is absolutely one of us, and I'm really super duper looking forward to chit-chatting with her again. Just talking fun game stuff, I like having cool people on the show. I really do. And Laura's a lot of fun. So if you want to hang out and be part of any of those shows, guys, and you want to know when they're going to happen, click the subscribe button and click the bell icon for notifications. I'm really looking forward to that. She is very lovely. She's a wonderful person. There's something I want to talk about. This is a little less pleasant, but I feel like I need to address this. And I'm not gonna. It's not ukulele apology time, if you know what I'm about to say. If you get that meme, it's not ukulele apology time. I do YouTube shorts. I have maybe 50 pages of YouTube shorts, and these are printed front and back, upside down, right side up. Some of the pages aren't completely full. I recycle these, and I'm a dummy. I wish I'd kept all the pages because it would probably be about twice as many as these. But like if I know I'm going to do a vertical, which I don't need to write a script for, I'll just flip a page and put it through the printer, and it'll be upside down on the back of a blank page. But I do a lot of these. And I try and bring really interesting trivia. Like for those of you who may or may not have watched it, I did a short today on an RPG that got the rules designed and laid out, and at least art for the box created, and 4 modules planned. And it was what was it called? Photon Storm, Ion Storm, something like that. Back in 1985. TSR did like a 2-page preview article of it with some artwork. It's all in the YouTube short. Well, thank you very much, RPG Grandma. Yours are pretty fun too. See you after the show. God, that's horrible of me. She's gonna drive out from Cali tonight and beat me with a shovel, drag me off into West Florida and bury me in a shallow ditch. But anyway, but yeah, so I do the YouTube shorts, and I have a lot of fun with them. And one thing that I had touched on once before with the YouTube shorts was War of Wizards, which is a miniature skirmish game set in the Tecumel setting, the Empire of the Petal Throne. And I had long thought, hey, I need to do a short about EPT. And if you didn't watch the short, I'm about to spoil it a little bit for you. Empire of the Petal Throne was a role-playing game created by a guy named M.A.R. Barker, who was a professor of linguistics, who invented his own Indo-Pakistani Urdu mashup language, created a fantasy world around it, and took his work to TSR and said, hey, I run a game using the OD&D rules with some modifications. Would you guys publish it? And there were no fantasy role-playing games at this time. Remember, this is 1974. Dungeons and Dragons has literally just come out. So in 1975, TSR, they release Empire of the Petal Throne. Gorgeous full-color box, the size of the basic D&D set boxes in 1975. Okay. And this thing had the price of $25. Doesn't sound too bad. Except accounting for inflation, that's like buying a TTRPG now for $160 or thereabouts. So it was really pricey. It was really high quality. Like the world map and the city map were printed on full color vinyl. The rule book was comb bound. It was bonkers production value. Nobody really bought it, mainly because the first 4 pages of the rule book were written in a made-up language that you have to learn to navigate the game. It was a little dense. I mentioned when it came out, who wrote it, the cost, some pictures of the book. It went out of print. War Wizards came out to support it. Otherwise, here's what 2 critics said back in the 1970s. The end. Crammed all that into 50 seconds. Little montage of images with a little flame separator between the images. Boom, it's up. Now I want to preface what I'm about to say with a couple of things. One, the YouTube shorts that I make generally speaking, are about TSR or TTRPG production or personalities, if I've been lucky enough to interview them and do a vertical slice out of one of those interviews, like my interviews with Gary, and little quirky bits of trivia. I was not aware of the book that M.A.R. Barker wrote under pseudonym in 1991. And if you want to go look it up, it's called Serpent's Walk. And it's kind of rendered a lot of his work pretty unsalvageable in much the way that H.P. Lovecraft's work is for a lot of people. Although it's there's some people that say, well, Lovecraft contemporized and so on and etc. But there's no indication like that for Barker. I was aware that Barker was regarded as problematic by some people. Hey, hello there, Arion Olmonare. Arion Olmonare. You, sir, you were in the chat over at Jack's place today where I was hanging out. So yeah, it's pretty awful. It's pretty darn terrible. So don't think for a minute that I'm like holding up Barker as like something you should like, hey, you should find this guy really cool and you should like his stuff. That's not the case at all. I had EPT even when I knew it was rare and it only cost me 200 smackers back in 2006, 2007. I had it because I thought there might be stuff I could mine for original D&D in there. Spoiler alert, there's not. I didn't like it. Like I didn't enjoy it. And I jettisoned it. I sold the set for half what I paid for it. I was a little sad about that. In retrospect, I wish I'd held on to it until Barker died and then sold it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but I didn't do that either. So, and this is, I am not calling anyone out here. Someone made a comment in the comments like, did you know that they were kind of, biting my style and saying, did you know that M.A.R. Barker believes these things, which I can't say on YouTube because so that person posted that and I went and I looked at Serpent's Walk and I was like, oh, that is worse than I thought. So just to clear the air, that's my thought on M.A.R. Barker. I didn't like EPT just because I thought it was crap. And now knowing about Barker, I don't like that at all. It would have been beyond the scope of the short had I known going in to launch into that. Because I think that's something that if you're going to make a YouTube short calling out the not great things he believed, well, it shouldn't be a YouTube short. It should be a YouTube long. That should be like a video essay. So that's all I have to say on the topic. So if you made that comment, thank you. Thank you for making that comment. Thank you for bringing that into focus. I actually appreciate that. Learned something new today. +1. Again, I heard from the fringes that Barker had certain beliefs. And my thinking was, this is people using a term that is overused to the point that it drains all of the real meaning out of it. But no, he was actually that. He was actually that. It wasn't just like, I disagree with you, therefore you're this. No. He really, yeah. Yeah. So, did you know the expansion said to me has stick, me have stick, Robert. So anyway, I just wanted to mention it. Robert Santon, have a lovely evening. Thank you for stopping in to say goodnight. Have a lovely, lovely evening, sir. And that's all I'm really going to say about it now. It's over and done with. It is over and done with. So the one thing I will say this just to have something to talk about. So Tecumel, on the surface of it, if I explain Tecumel to you, there is a planet that is a vacation planet that is it basically, it exists for people to go and spend leisure activities on in the future, and its star system gets plunged into pocket dimension because of overuse of hyperdrive around it. It literally weakens the fabric of space-time. It gets ripped out of reality and thrust into its own dimension. And because of that, magic becomes real. Demons and devils are now able to more easily penetrate the veil of reality. Humanity and their alien allies, which held sway on these planets, are now on their back foot because they are completely cut off from the galaxy at large, and they no longer have trade or commerce or even contact with with uh uh with the rest of humanity, and they have to fight on their own. It becomes a very interesting, that is a very interesting concept. Where it falls apart is the distant past of this setting is 50,000 years in our future. And it is 80,000 years past the cataclysm that caused that star system to fall into an alternate reality. So it's literally 130,000 years in the future. Any understandable technology is non-existent. They hint that there's air chariots, they're anti-gravity sleds. But the whole world is like this Mesoamerican, Indian, Pakistani, Hindu sort of mashed up thing with this weird language. Guys, there's a point at which you make something too weird, like so utterly alien. Why am I playing this? It's like when people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to play Talislanta, no elves, or I'm going to play Sky Realms of Jorune, or I'm going to play this, or I'm going to play that. Weirdness for weirdness sake is not a good design ethos. Weirdness for weirdness sake does not a great game make. What's it got going for it? It's weird and it has a really hard to understand language. Okay, but couldn't I just do this with original D&D by itself? Yeah, no, but you got the Slanyoi language and all the weirdness, man. And I'm like, okay, we've established that it's weird, but what else is it? When you make something so dense and so alien to the human experience, it's like I used to casually play Warhammer 40K in the late 80s and early 90s. And like, quiet you, Bob. But when we would talk about like Warhammer units that would like literally whistle Dixie, Dixieland, not Dixieland band, but the tune, uh, you know what it is. I wish I was in Dixie. What? And jokes and joke about things like that. Guys would, they'd paint up their armies with American flags on them and that sort of thing. No, you don't have to lurk. But you get now like deep into the 40K canon, and it's like, oh, they wouldn't even know. Like the serious die-hard 40K guys, like they wouldn't even know what that is. That's not even significant. That's like an insignificant part of an insignificant part. That's not even remembered anymore. They think this way now. That's not remembered in human memory at all. Well, it's like if it's just gonna be obliterated, if it's just dust and blown away, what is the point? There has to be some point of contact. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons, knights in shining armor, cultural touchstones of American and European style fantasy, things that get into the zeitgeist that you understand. They draw you in and they hold on to you. But if you just start throwing stuff away, the gestalt, exactly. If you just start throwing stuff away, say, no, it's too far in the future. These people wouldn't understand that. I mean, the dying Earth is supposed to be set billions of years in the future, but Jack Vance at least was smart enough to create a more or less recognizable future. Even if it technically wouldn't be. He didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Exactly, Rimdog. It was more fun when it was satire. So I don't get down with the idea of you know here's a perfect example of distant future but done right. Okay. Well, let me give you one and then I'll jump to the one that I was thinking of. There's a scene in Star Trek, the original. When I say Star Trek, it's like when I say D&D. If I say D&D, I'm talking about first edition AD&D, possibly OD&D, maybe basic D&D, but I'm not referring to third, fourth, fifth, Pathfinder, any of the OCR clones, OSR clones. So there's an episode of the original Star Trek. Damn it, I did it again. There's an episode of Star Trek where Mr. Kyle has the con. Very rare episode. It's like I can think of like one or two when Sulu was given the con, when Sulu was at the helm. But there is one where Mr. Kyle has the con. And he makes a comment, I bet you credits to Navy Beans that this won't happen or that that's not what we think it is. There's an old saying, I bet you dollars to Navy beans. I'll give you something relatively valueless, and you give me dollars if I win. Dollars to Navy beans. I bet you dollars to Navy beans. And they tweaked it just a little, credits to Navy beans. But you watch that and you go, in the 22nd century, they still know what Navy beans are, and they still have money. It's credits instead of dollars. And in Battletech, all over the place, jump ships and drop ships are powered by Rolls-Royce. Battletech engines are recognizable names. The Marauder and Battletech were the most iconic. It's the officer's pod Glaug from Macross. Well, it's made by General Motors, GM. The big autocannon that the Victor carries on its arm is made by Pontiac. Many of the targeting and tracking computers and battle mechs in Battletech are, so you can read exactly, Bob. That is exactly precisely so. Those are touchstones. You read that like, oh man, that's a thread that goes from the year 3025 or 3028 all the way back to us here. You can go outside and touch your General Motors car or your Apple computer, and you're touching something that exists in the distant. If you create a universe where I don't have that reference point, any kind of reference point, you rip everything away, that just takes me too far out of it. I'm not saying you have to have people walking around Tecumseh drinking Coca-Cola, sending each other IMs over Twitter on an iPhone. But the point that I'm making is that you have to give me something to latch onto. You have to give me something to root for, something to care about. Just say there's a great hall, there's a great, huge, vaunted, vaulted hall on Holy Terra in 40K. And one of the ancient relics in it is the Statue of Liberty or the Eiffel Tower or the Washington Monument. It's partially decayed. It's worn down from millennia of weathering and so on. So it's just, if you take a reader too far out of it, and you might say, okay, where are the cultural touchstones in the Lord of the Rings? Where's the common stuff in the Lord of the Rings? European fantasy, European mythology. Those are the touchstones. Everybody knows swords, armor, goblins, magic rings, that sort of thing. War in heaven. But if you go so far alien just to be weird, you've kind of broken things. It's like if you set if Lovecraft had written a story that was set only in Riley and only dealt with polyps and shoggoths and Starspawn of Cthulhu hanging out with Shub Niggurath. I mean, where is anything we could grab onto? in such an outre and bizarre story. You consider the work of Salvador Dali, arguably one of humanity's greatest painters. Dali would at least say, this represents this represents that, you could see things that could pull you in, even if they repulsed you, his fears. You could latch on to these things. That's my take on settings like Empire of the Petal Throne. And yeah, unfortunately, I also have to include Warhammer 40K. You just get so far out there, It's like what I think it's Children of Dune when Leto the second, he's lying on his back looking up at the stars, and he's thinking about Earth, and he talks about somewhere out there was the remains of Earth, but it was burned to a cinder untold eons ago. So there's kind of no connection anymore. And when you start talking about like just some of the stuff that just it gets further and further and further and further and further out there, I'm a pretty imaginative guy. I like to think. But there's some stuff that just it goes too far and it breaks too much and it becomes it becomes just like, okay, well, I had a game master that was running a BattleTech game once, and I was talking about those cultural touchstones. And my character was in a fire support mech. I think it was some stupid looking thing, Davion mech that had like, what is it, 2 SRM2s and 2 LRM10s. Dervish. That was it, Dervish. I was in my Dervish waiting for a fire mission. And the other players are out there battling, and they're trying to draw the enemy to where I'm going to be doing indirect fire, and I'm sitting there and Faldery, Faldera, Faldery, Faldera. And the game master started to get irritated because he thought I was like bored, and I was like, oh no, that was in character. My character is there's an old camping marching song. And he looks at me and he says, well, that's from the 20th century. And I said, yeah. And he's like, that when your character's not saying that, your character wouldn't know what that is. I was like, what are you talking about, dude? That's thousands of years old. And I was like, dude, we are creating cultural touchstones that are going to resonate forever, that are going to be embedded and engraved. And I we kind of it kind of pumped the brakes on it. And I was like, we're putting things on ever permanent media. In my defense, I was pretty naive back in 1991 to think that optical media was permanent. I didn't understand bit rot. I didn't understand that optical discs could literally just crumble apart inside. So yeah, no, I was like, dude, don't take the damned, okay, my character is sitting here singing a Davion camping song. What is that? I don't know. there has to be a human connection. There has to be some kind of connection that we all realize and that we can all reach out and touch. Otherwise, it's not fun. And that includes weird worlds of Indo-Pakistani strangeness where there's, Shoggoth-like creatures living in the sewer under the city, and you have to sacrifice stuff to them even to move by. And it's like, oh, well, we got to harvest like 5 children and throw them into the dissolving pit so we can open this door so we can go in there and get a ray gun that may or may not work because it's been lying there for 92,000 years. Arion, yeah, I would agree with you. Anyway, rant over. That's it. I think that's just about what I wanted to say for the evening, guys. I think I've pretty much spoken my piece. It's tomorrow already, and I want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight. I know we got an exceptionally late start. We have Delver's Dungeon of Your numbers happening right now. We've got I get I kind of get full of myself when I look over like on a Tuesday night, and we've got 78 people watching us. That's always fun. But I will be back tomorrow at 9:00. We will be here with DM Blackwell. We're going to be talking about that really cool game, which I've said before. It's a fantasy game I'll play. And that's high praise for me. We're going to be talking to DM Blackwell about Horde Wars. Friday night, we're going to be playing Blade Runner, the RPG, right here on stream. So I'm looking forward to both of those things. And then on Saturday, I'm not doing a thing. But anyhow, thank you very much, Bob. I'm glad you like the segment. I forgot to mention, dang it. I forgot to mention cantrips. They can take fractions of a segment. Anyway, I will talk to you guys. You folks have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I will ask him about dropship. And please do not disturb the owl bear. It is well past his bedtime. Good night. God bless.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.